thank you so much for joining me on the show today, Sheina. Can you tell us a little bit about you and your business and how you've come to work with dancers and dance teachers and dance business owners?
Sure. Well, firstly, thank you so much for having me. I love how the world is connected through the power of the internet and the power of social media. So thank you so much. And a little bit about me. So I am from Melbourne, Australia. I've been dancing and traveling and working in social media for about 7 years, and I love all my passions. And with COVID, they kind of all came together when I realized the dance industry was extremely suffering underneath going online. A lot of people were left behind and a lot of people were rushing all the way forward. So I took this time to really understand, like, this is my skill set. These are my people. How can I really serve my people and help them leverage their social media so they can get the most out of their opportunities online? So that's kind of where my aha moment happened. And it's been an incredible journey. And I get to meet incredible people across the globe from my own home country. So that's pretty cool as well.
So I know that are you originally from Melbourne, you said?
Yes,
And
I'm
where are
from
you based
Australia. I
at the
haven't been
moment?
home. I'm in Mexico, a small island in it's 20 minutes away from Cancun, but it's super small and quiet and exactly what I needed right now. But I haven't been home in 2 years. I travel a lot, and COVID kind of stopped me going home recently, and I'm here and I'm
Yeah.
enjoying it. So
Awesome. Are you planning to come back to Australia or are you continuing your travels?
I tried to last year and that wasn't super successful. It was just my ticket was in a time frame that everything shut down. Those
Yeah.
2 weeks that Melbourne airport was closed. So I took that as a sign, and I'm gonna come back when the time is right. So I do miss
Amazing.
my family, but right now is
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. Well, that's really awesome. Like you said, if your job is online and you're able to work with people, you can really work with anyone from wherever you are in the world. So that's really awesome.
Yeah, and that's actually why I chose Mexico, because a lot of my clientele is on the Eastern Standard or Pacific Standard time zone. So for me, this is the step I took. But if that changes or if that moves, I'm super flexible. So I'm grateful for that type of lifestyle choice.
Amazing. So with that in mind, with the flexibility of your business and your working life, can you tell me a little bit about what a regular day looks like for you, or is there no such thing as a regular day?
Oh, I love this because I used to travel and I'm like the most freedom, adventurous, free spirit type of person you met. And when I started taking my business seriously and taking this so seriously, my schedule all of a sudden just came out of nowhere. And now I'm just like a routine junkie and I love that. So my mornings, like, look, I wake up around 5:30 to 6 and I meditate a bit. I go for a walk. I listen to a podcast. I love podcasts. I love the podcast community. Um, I come home, I practice yoga, shower, get ready, breakfast, journal as well, and then my work day starts. So I love my mornings, my quiet mornings.
You are a morning person.
I've tapped into it. I feel like in high school I was just sleepy all the time, so I never really knew what type of person
Yeah.
I was. But now that I'm like using my brain in different ways, I've definitely noticed that my creativity happens after a good night's sleep, a good morning of like letting that settle and just taking the time, not rushing into it. And then my mornings are really great. And that's when my brain works at the optimal level it can. And then my afternoons, I just do more gentler, chill, like tasks rather than the creative tasks that happen in the morning for me.
Yeah, amazing. And I think it's really important as a business owner or, as a person in general that's working, if you have flexibility on your schedule, it's really interesting to figure out when you're most creative and, when you're going to do certain tasks better because it just makes you more efficient and more effective anyway. So rather than trying to fight it, I feel like leaning into it is really, really important.
Yeah. I'm so glad I found that that's what works for me, because otherwise it can be that struggle of fighting, like, why isn't my brain working? It does take time, and not everyone is the same type of brain person. A lot of people function in the afternoon or after a nap or whatever. We're all
Mm,
different. So,
exactly. So I know that you are big on social media in that you are sharing a lot about yourself and your business on social media as well, and we'll share where people can look and follow you as a bit later as well. But what is the main thing sort of day to day that you are working with dancers and dance teachers and dance business owners on to educate them about social media?
okay. So, the main thing that I do with dancers is I focus on quality, not quantity. I feel like the metrics and the how many times should I post, how many hashtags should I use, only this amount of people saw my story, I only have this amount of followers. Like, I feel like the number game, people get so trapped into the number game. So that's a big mindset shift that I like to create my content around, so that people can work over that. So if people understand, like, you can make money online without having 10,000 followers or plus. You can create so much valuable content without this, like breaking down those barriers of understanding the the mindset around what numbers mean in social media, because people have different goals on social media. So your numbers can't be the same as someone else's, or your metrics, or the way that you understand how your business is working, or your success is not someone else's metrics. So that's a big thing that I work on with dancers, or even before I work with dancers, that's the type of content I create, so dancers can have that mindset breakthrough and then realize, okay, now that I can do something with my social media, what are the next steps to take? So that's a big one.
Yeah, amazing. And I think the comparison kind of not game, but what it's just natural for a lot of people to compare themselves to other people in the industry. But it's not, it's the algorithm and all the metrics, like you said, it's all changing so much. So it's really hard to keep up. So focusing on quality over quantity is a really good message, I think.
Yeah, it's I feel like a lot of dancers, and being ingrained as a dancer as part of the industry growing up, perfectionism is something super apparent. And if I can't do it all the way, I'm not doing it at all type of attitude. And when it comes to a dance recital, like, sometimes those qualities are very important in dance education, to like be the best version of yourself. But at the same time, it can corner you into a hole that you can't get out of. So it's about that balance, because producing really good quality work is good, but like pushing it to the extent of, like, I have to be the best, or it has to be perfect, or that type of level is where people can get lost or fall behind. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And we chatted a little bit just before about the algorithm, and you and I spoke before the interview about, the main thing that you were interested in chatting to the listeners about today. So can you break down that algorithm a little bit more into actionable steps for our listeners?
Yeah, so actually I created a step-by-step cheat sheet. So I definitely can't go through every single
No.
chunk of the algorithm, but I did create a really thorough checklist. So if you're ever feeling um, stuck when it comes to your engagement, or if no one's responding to you, or people aren't answering your questions, or people aren't commenting, I created a checklist so that can really like break it down, what steps you might be doing along the way. In terms of algorithm, what I would focus on, just I want to give a quick example, because people throw around the word algorithm, like, the algorithm doesn't like me, the algorithm is hurting me, I hate Instagram's algorithm. Like, what does algorithm even mean? It means, like, you're creating content, and it means how many people are viewing it, and how your content is part of this huge map of the app that you're on. And we're going to talk about Instagram, for example. So on Instagram, part of the algorithm basic foundation is, if you post a post, Instagram will push that out. Its algorithm will push that out to approximately 10% of your audience. So if you have 100 followers, approximately 10 of them will see them in their feed. if those 10 people are going to engage with your content, if they're going to give it a like, if they're going to comment, if they're going to give it a share or a save, Instagram will deem that as a important or valuable or a good type of content, and they will push that out to another 10% and another 10%. So when some people have 1,000 followers and 1,000 likes per post, that means that they have a really high engagement rate. That means all the people that are on their account are liking and engaging with their content. You can have, on the flip side, someone with 1,000 followers and they get less than 10 likes. So that means that the algorithm hasn't pushed out their content, not because the algorithm hates you, because the type of content you created isn't working for the algorithm, because the algorithm wants people to be able to like and comment and share and save. So it's only going to give eyeball access to people, that to content that is getting what the algorithm likes, which is engagement. So that's why I created this cheat sheet. So if you're getting stuck when it comes to engagement, you can look along with those. But definitely a quick summary of what the algorithm is how people get to interact with you based on the way Instagram uses its app. And that always changes. So you can think you've got the hack. I figured out the hack to Instagram, where I got 5 hacks to boost my engagement. Or these hacks, they're going to change every few minutes. So when your strategy is in place and you're making moves, it doesn't really matter about these big hacks and changes. If you have that consistency in your strategy, you're going to be having momentum anyways. So
Yeah, amazing. And I will be sure to include the link to that cheat sheet, like you said, in the show notes for anyone who wants to grab a copy. But I guess if we could touch a little bit on then, you kind of gave us a really good overview of what the algorithm is, because like you said, it's this elusive thing that keeps changing and everyone's trying to grab it and make it like a step-by-step guide, which is not always possible. But there is things that Facebook and Instagram are generally liking and wanting people to see more of. And one thing I noticed on your Instagram was that you are creating a lot of reels and content that is very visual. Obviously, Instagram is a visual medium, but reels in particular are interactive and really fun. So what have you noticed about reels, and why are you incorporating them into your strategy?
sure, I love this, and I'm loving reels right now, especially for dancers. In general, video is key for all types of having, like any type of social media. Video is what's going to connect on the most emotional level. It's going to connect on the most entertaining level, inspirational level. It really connects to the person. That's why stories, when stories was at first a big thing, it would get a lot of engagement because people want to see like the real you, the unfiltered version, what you had for breakfast. Like, we're nosy creatures. We want to know everything. So stories was like a big like breakthrough. And once stories got a bit old or outdated, um, reels came about. I'm not going to say that they copied anyone, but it's a very similar system or tool to TikTok. So it's short form video content that engages people on a much different level than posts, carousels, stories. It engages on a super high level. So why I started with reels is because I saw its reach. I saw its potential to reach a lot of people, but I also saw my own personal behaviors. I really enjoyed consuming reels. I really enjoyed watching them. I really enjoyed learning a lot of information, reaching new creators. Like, I personally enjoyed using reels. So as a consumer of reels, I realized if I enjoy them, my audience is going to enjoy them. So I jumped on that bandwagon and really have been taking reels as part of my Instagram strategy. And that's another important thing. Things are going to come, things are going to go. Just be elusive to it. You don't have to be like the queen of this and the best of this. Like, you can always dabble and like try this out, try that out. If you're a person that doesn't get too distracted, like, try it out. If it's working, continue. If it doesn't, move on. Like, it's a very fluid type of platform or social media. It doesn't have to be like at 8 a.m. every single day, I will do this and this and this. It's very much like, what's working for me right now? What is my audience liking? What is my audience responding to? What do I like to enjoy? What makes me happy? And then you can keep revisiting your strategy or your way that you do things every couple of months and continue to grow and move. But I've definitely been enjoying Reels. It's a fun platform, a fun way to get a message across.
Super fun. And if like a dancer or a dance teacher or a dance business owner is listening to this and they're going, I really want to use Reels, but I'm not sure where to start. Like I see everyone else doing them and they look super fun and creative, but I'm not sure how to apply it to myself or my business. Do you have any tips for people to figure out what the best way to start would be?
Sure. Well, first things first, take it like if you're already doing stories, just take it as an extension of your story. That it's a very personalized, fun, unfiltered level that you're exchanging a piece of information or a piece of content. So the three things that reels should be is like entertaining. So if you're in the entertaining field, you're creating content for entertainment. That's one. If the next one is inspirational, like those are the types of reels that do really well when they're inspirational. People go like, wow, or they say that, or they really like that if something's inspirational. And then there's educate. There's a way that you can give over a particular, give over some information. So I've seen dancers really doing this well by like taking a technique and breaking it down into 15 or 30 seconds, or showing the correct way to do thing and the incorrect way to do thing, or using their dance skill as a way to educate and share a process or a system or a technique or a skill with their audience. So don't get like scared. Oh, where do I start by thinking of it like a story, like a way to connect with your audience. Think of the message that you want to give over and you can put it into one of those categories: inspirational, educational, or info, informative. What was the other one of those three ones? You want to give that over and then play around with it. There's no right or wrong. There's no some reels go viral and they're just like someone lip syncing or someone just nodding their head. Like you don't have to worry about the whole background to it. Just get started, dabble in it, and then figure out what's working for you, what your audience likes, what your message is. I definitely recommend to just post one today, just post one right after the episode, see how it goes, and then take it from there. That's always the scariest part to start. So
Yeah, and absolutely. And I guess for, like you said, dancers, they have so many skills in their like tool belt to be able to utilize. And then as well on the other side, for a dance studio owner, you have yourself that could do, a little dance, or it could be more like information based. But you also have then your students and the people that you're working with that can kind of help you create something. You don't always have to be doing it by yourself, which takes some of the pressure off if you're not sure about it.
yeah, and as well, if you're not sure, I would look at pieces of information. So I definitely actually did a reel on this the other day, like the difference between copying and being creative. Definitely like take out your creative genius, like write out a bunch of ideas, think of things like before you start looking at other people, think of what you could do. But once you've done that, look at what other studio owners are doing, look what other people are doing, and see if what resonates with you. If you liked something, figure out like, oh, why did I like that? That was funny, or that was, I really learned something, or that was whatever it was for you. And you're like, okay, so that's the type of content I'm going to try to create. You can also look for trending audios. I mean, the list goes on and on. There's so much to do with reels. Just right after listening to this episode, just try, do one, and then take it from there.
Yeah. That's really good advice, I think. And like you said, things are always changing. Like last night, I was having a flick through Instagram and all this sort of stuff was starting to come up about guides. And I was like, that's new. I've not really seen a lot about guides. I've not heard a lot about guides, but there's a new thing they're going to start pushing soon, so that they're going to be interested in us trying and using that out. And I'm not sure about you, but I tend to find if you're like an early adopter and you try it early on, you seem to get a little bit more interaction at the start, and then as everyone else starts to join in, it's just sort of evens out a little bit, obviously. But have you heard anything about guides, or is that still really new to you as well?
Yeah, I came across guides, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. And then I tried one myself and I found it very similar to Pinterest, or kind of like a blog post or a collection of information. So I actually have a YouTube video. I speak a little bit about it, but it basically, like, let's say you're a dance content creator and you have a lot of products that you can recommend, so you can like put them all in one place. So like, these are my top 7 dance gears that get me through the day. Or if you're a dance teacher, these are, you can put together different posts that you've created, or different IGTVs or different reels, and put them, these are the top this. Or like, you can categorize your posts, and you can even categorize saved posts, like not even your own. You can say, these are the top 7 places to visit in Mexico, something like that. Like, it's a really great place to synchronize some information and put it together. So guides are fun, and I feel like Instagram is going to continue playing and seeing what works and seeing what doesn't. I saw them trying to put a lot of focus on IGTV, and IG lives, and now they've made like the lives that you can do like 4 people, and they're going to
Mm.
keep changing. And just be, as I said, be fluid with them. Don't worry about like trying to do it all. Just take what you can, dabble around, find what works, make a strategy, move on. Like, I don't know, I feel like a lot of people get distracted or overwhelmed by how much there is, but I take that as, or when I tell my students or my clients, like, that's just showing how much opportunity there is to grow. Like, by how, like, so many people are consuming content. Like, it's not there's too much. It's just, look how much there is to grow. So there's a lot.
Yeah, and like everyone gets like rolled out these things at different times. Like I hadn't have it rolled out in my Instagram yet in Australia, but I saw other people overseas or have had it for a while. So it's always interesting to see where they push out updates and stuff first, just to give it a
Yeah.
test out the waters. But if anyone who is listening today is like, oh, I really like, what Shayna's talking about, I'd love to learn more, I wonder how I can work with her. What are some of the top ways that, you work with dancers and dance business owners at the moment, and how can people get in touch with you?
So my favorite is the Instagram and the big DM. So that's a really active place I'm in. So my Instagram is Sheina Raskin, and just slide into that DM, give a comment, give a question. I'm more than happy to always respond. We also have a Facebook group called the Dance Entrepreneur Club. So that's a great place to connect with like-minded people. So that's a group of dancers on the journey to financial freedom, and we share tips and strategies and do collaborations and connect with each other. So that's a great community to be part of. And I also post on YouTube once a week with tips and tricks. So that's those 3 best places. They're all Sheina Raskin.
And I'll just, in case people are listening and not sure how to spell Shayna, it's Sheina. Just because
Perfect. Yeah, it's not an easy one to.
no, just because I think there is like different ways to spell Shayna. So,
Yes.
and then before we go, Shayna, I know you are quite into like Instagram and being creative, and you have a digital business. So I'm really interested to hear about what your 3 favorite tools or apps are that you're using at the moment.
Yes, I love this. So they are interchangeable in terms of social media apps. It's Instagram, Facebook, and a little bit of TikTok. I'm dabbling there. And in terms of like apps that I use within my business is Canva. I'm a huge Canva junkie, love Canva. Then I use Preview. So that's like a free app to help you like with the grid of Instagram if you're interested
Ah,
in the aesthetics and the puzzle pieces of how things look together. I'm less on that. I used to be more interested, but Preview and Lightroom is one that I love to use for editing photos. So those are the 3 I'm on right now, and I also like InShot. That
yes.
one's
I,
like good
I
for
like
editing videos as well.
Yeah, I like InShot for just like changing the way like a video is if I need to put it in a different platform. And again, Canva is just, it was one like maybe like a year and a half ago when I mentioned it to people, they were like, oh, interesting. Like, wow, what's that?
Yeah,
And now everyone knows it and everyone loves it. It's so
it's
good.
actually an Australian woman that founded it.
Yes. I think I listened to a podcast about her on like a women's business sort of thing, and they started in just her and one person, and now it's just huge.
Fascinating. Wow.
Super
And you can
fascinating.
now do video in it. Like I use it in my YouTube videos as well. So it's
Mm.
really, really a cool platform.
Yeah, I interviewed another person, and he was recommending a video editing software, and I said, "Oh, have you used Canva yet for video editing?" And he was like, "What?" Because one of my teachers, she created this really gorgeous like little intro video for one of our programs, and it had like swirls and things, and like the videos were all
Yes.
changing. And I was like to her, like, "Oh my God, like how did you do that?" And she was like, "Canva." And I was like,
Canva.
oh yeah, like, oh, I knew that. So
Of course.
it's really, really cool. So Sheina, again, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for sharing about the algorithm and how to kind of relax and sort of get seen on Instagram and the socials, but not worry too much about the algorithm, because the algorithm's always going to be changing, and by the time you potentially figure it out, it'll already have changed again. So
Exactly.
just encouraging everybody to give it their best shot and go out there today and record a reel.
Exactly, yeah. And you can tag us both in that reel that you post, and I would love to see them. That's really cool. Go make some reels.
Thank you so much for joining me, and I will look forward to talking to you again in the future sometime.
Yes, bye for now.